time. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. You don't listen, maybe now it's time. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's the time. MouseKast podcast is diving in.
Hello and welcome to MouseKast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Matt is with us. Megan is here. She may be popping in and out a little bit. She's having a little bit of camera trouble, so if you see her popping in and out, it's not a problem. But you know what? She is here and she is helping out. So we greatly appreciate that. Hey, we want to welcome you to our special edition, Election Day edition of MouseKast, where our promise, if you vote for MouseKast, is we're not going to talk about elections at all. This is all we ever said about elections. This is a political election-free time, so we hope you're joining us to talk about anything else but politics and the elections. We're talking about, tonight, the unused spaces in the Magic Kingdom, and surprisingly, there are more than you think, Matt. You know, as we kind of go along and we're talking about many of these unused spaces, it's kind of interesting that when you kind of cast your mind around a little bit and start to think about, all right, oh yeah, there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. So there are several of them that we wanted to look at. And so the first one that I thought we would talk about, and I think it's kind of the biggest one, is Stitch's Great Escape. Now, let's talk a little bit about a history. We're heading over to Tomorrowland. You've walked across the Tomorrowland Bridge, and over to the left is Stitch's Great Escape. Currently, it is being used for a meet and greet, just for Stitch, but it's using just a little portion of the meet and greet of the original attraction area. So, a little history on this space. Originally, this was Flight to the Moon. And you can still see a few and hear a few references to Flight to the Moon. If you hear talk about Mr. Johnson, or there's a bit in Mission Space over in Epcot where they talk about there, you still see the alerts from a bird that comes in. That was in the next edition called, I believe it was Mission to Mars. And then it closed and it underwent a very dark transformation, and it turned into Alien Encounter. And I don't know, Matt, if you ever had the opportunity to do Alien Encounter. I did it one time a while ago. And I'll tell you what, I mean, had to be the most frightening experience in the parks. It was really, really scary. Danny's with us. Hey, Danny, welcome. Glad to have you here. Again, if you experienced, you remember the old Alien Encounter over in the Magic Kingdom, of course, later on it became Stitch's Great Escape, and it was mostly done, yeah, Danny says it was very, very frightening, and it was, and that's actually that whole issue right there became the death knell of the Alien Encounter, because it just got too frightening. It was essentially too scary for the Magic Kingdom. So what Disney decided to do instead was, well, we're going to just, and again, we'll put up our topic here, we're going to ditch that, but we're going to continue to use the space, because the space is kind of like a miniature version of a circle in the round. So you have a central section, and then there are seats in a circle that go around. And let's see, Megan is with us here. Right, go, Megan. There are seats that go around, and they all face this center area, and the seats have, similar to It's Tough to Be a Bug, or now I guess the Zootopia show, that, you know, the seats can shake and rock and shimmy and all these other kind of things to create an additional 4D effect. So what they thought was, okay, let's tone it down a little bit, and we're going to put Stitch in here, and Stitch is going to escape. And Megan's face right there says it all. It did not go over very well, did it, Megan?
No, I was incredibly underwhelmed by the whole thing. You expect Stitch, you expect craziness, you expect some laughter, maybe some hijinks. No, it's just really one and done, boring, and I clearly wasn't the only one that felt that way.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
I feel like I
Did you?
also only did it once, and I barely remember it. I
Well,
feel like
there. I
it's
think that's
10
it
years
right there.
ago.
It became a one and done, and to most people, this is what they remember most about Stitch's Great Escape. And it's not a good memory. It is a chili hot dog burp. That's it. They remember in this horrid smell, odor, whatever you want to call it, about the chili hot dog burp from Stitch, and it was just yuck. And so it closed. I want to say it was probably somewhere around 2000, maybe 10 or so. I didn't actually look up the date, but it's been closed for quite a while, and nothing has ever come. So we thought that's actually one of the biggest in the Magic Kingdom, is this unused space. So we're tonight looking at, all right, guys, you get the chance, you get to be an Imagineer. You're using the space kind of as it is. Now, granted, the seating could change or whatever, but you can't expand on it. What do you think? And Matt, I'll start with you a little bit. What's going in there? Is there an idea? And guys in the chat, if you're there, tonight's topic is unused spaces in the Magic Kingdom. Number one, share out that you're here, but also put into the chat your ideas. What would you do with the currently unused Stitch's Great Escape space? All right, Matt, what do you got?
I mean, I'm going back to Stitch. Stitch is really popular within, the Disney culture right now, with the live action that came out, which actually wasn't terrible for once for Disney. But just the cult following that Stitch has, like, you've got to bring a Stitch back into that space. You're talking about alien, sci-fi. It fits a Tomorrowland feel of outer space and stuff like that. But what exactly to do? That's, once again, I only did Stitch's Great Escape once. Vague memories of circular seating. How to reimagine it? I kind of struggle with that because I feel like it wasn't a very large space inside.
No, it's not real
Kind of
big.
deceiving. Like the outside made it seem bigger than it really was, like the attraction. So I feel like if we're going within the same similar confines of the old attraction, you can maybe do something similar to another escape, but make it more thrilling in a way, like kind of maybe not to the alien counter level, but not to like, hey, I'm kind of yeah, okay, this is nice, boring, I did it once, see you later.
If Stitch is going to escape from anything, he should actually be, a friend of the cast member, like, should be running around the room, possibly in the dark, scaring the guests as he comes up next to them. Like, it should be incredibly interactive if it is Stitch.
Mm-hmm. And also I think that if you do that Stitch bit, you got it. I mean, they thought, oh, well, we're going to be scary funny. And again, they thought, oh, kids will love, the chili burp and all these kind of bathroomy humor. Didn't go over very well. I think you can keep the humor. Stitch is funny. I mean, Stitch actually is a very funny character, but I think you just got to do maybe something different. And maybe it's
more mischievous funny.
Right. Mischievous funny. But at the same time, Stitch also is a heroic character in his own way, and so I think you need to kind of set it that way. Megan, what do you think? What would you do with Stitch's Great Escape?
So what I think is missing from Magic Kingdom is a show that includes some of the cast members. We see that over at Hollywood Studios with the Frozen sing-along. We see the live bird show over in Animal Kingdom. Epcot obviously is full of cast members being really interactive. When I think about cast members at Magic Kingdom, they're all working a queue. They're working in a store. They're directing traffic. There's not something where you get them up on stage performing. And I think that's missing. The performance cast members are fantastic. And because it is a theater, I'd love to see something, where we've got cast members up on stage. Going into the futuristic thing, one of the things that I love about Universal is, and I don't remember what exactly, Chuck, you'll have to help me with this. There's a show over in Universal Studios that does, is it makeup or horror or something that's
something along those lines. Yeah.
And I really think leaning into like the space, the alien, the tomorrow, the future kind of thing. There's something, Disney could come up with some sort of a show like that, whether, I mean, obviously you don't want to, take from the guys down the street, but there's a lot that goes into Imagineering when it comes time. Epcot leads into the future. We talk about Future World, or at least it used to be Future World, and Tomorrowland. And something that's maybe a little bit, I realize it's Magic Kingdom, but something that's maybe a little bit higher level of like thinking and behind the scenes of like how Disney does some of this stuff. Put the Imagineering story or behind the attraction in there and let cast members actually interact with guests and say, hey, this is what we were thinking when we created this newest ride that we just debuted. Something like that, I think it feels like it's missing. Magic Kingdom is a very fun park, but I would love to see something just a little bit more than another ride or a silly thing go in there. I'd love to see something next level there.
Actually, as you're talking about that, it triggered something in my mind. Something that Disney has done in the past. I remember seeing this in Disney California Adventure many years ago. And they took, again, similar space, an unused space, and they turned it into what they called the Blue Sky Center. This could be a really awesome place to do Blue Sky, where, not only, because, think about all the construction that's going on in Walt Disney World across the parks. There's a ton going on right now. Take that circular seating and get rid of half of it. And then turn that into like a circular, almost like a mini Circle-rama. Kind of think like the Beauty and the Beast or the French Pavilion movie, so it's a half Circle-rama kind of thing. And use that with cast members and use that center section with actually maybe figure out how, with the animatronics, I don't know if it would work or not, but have actual models kind of popping in and out of the floor or something like that. But use it as a Blue Sky Center. That would be a great way to showcase, okay, and it's called, and call it, the Imagineering Blue Sky Center or whatever, Imagining Tomorrow. That would be an awesome place for Disney to then showcase, hey, here's what's coming up next.
Yep.
And maybe even, okay, guys, this is a trust me here. Show them some things that haven't been talked about yet on Disney Plus that are just really blue sky. Don't give away the farm or anything major, but just go, yeah, here's a few things that we're playing with and trying to figure out even. And it could be really, really 50,000 foot level, but this idea of highlighting, I love this idea, Megan, highlighting and showcasing the Imagineers and Imagineering and what it's doing, and then maybe even a pitch to, hey, include cross-pollination to Disney Plus, to the Imagineering story, or to Behind the Attraction, another one, do Behind the Attraction. And that's something that could be a rotating thing. Every hour the attraction changes, or every day the attraction changes, or whatever, you do a Behind the Attraction, something like that. So those are some great ideas. I was kind of thinking initially almost going retro and bringing back a very modern version of Flight to the Moon with, the interest in mission in Space 220 and all of that. Essentially turn that into a return to this concept of Flight to the Moon, but do so in a more futuristic and updated, with all the projection technology we have now. It could be a much more impressive experience and get back to Flight to the Moon, moving the Circle-rama. But to be honest, I'm more for Megan's idea than I am for my own. I like that idea of highlighting the Imagineers and showcasing what's coming up next and doing that whole blue sky thing. Disney did use the Odyssey for that for a little while as kind of a blue sky center for the changes in Epcot. So I think it would be great to use that to highlight some of the changes, not only coming to Magic Kingdom, but also to some of the other parks. Hey, if you're watching right now, be sure to share out your thoughts. What would you do with Stitch's Great Escape, as tonight's topic is unused spaces in the Magic Kingdom? And so, while we're seeing if other folks want to comment on that, the next place I wanted to get to is kind of in Tomorrowland. We'll stay in Tomorrowland And we'll talk first about what may be the shortest attraction in the history of the Magic Kingdom. This attraction lasted for what, Megan? About 15 minutes.
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly. And we're talking about the Tomorrowland Terrace, and this was the Stitch stage show at the not Tomorrowland Terrace, I'm sorry, the Tomorrowland stage. We'll get to the Tomorrowland Terrace in a minute. The Tomorrowland stage, and there was a Stitch stage show there that really, seriously, I mean, it might have run 3 months, if that much. I mean, it was, they just barely printed it on the maps, and then it was off, like, a month or two later. Very, very short, but yet the stage still remains. If you're riding on the TTA or walking around the Magic Kingdom and you see that stage, you go, what's over there? What's that do? The answer is not much, to be honest. You know, they do a few little things with it occasionally and during parties and whatever like that, but it's an area that takes up a healthy amount of the walkway area in Tomorrowland, and it's kind of in a weird spot. So, you know, Megan, we'll start with you. What do you do with this? I mean,
okay, so first of all, I think it's very interesting that, as Matt pointed out, Stitch is incredibly popular, right? But these things that we include him in outside of the breakfast over at Ohana, they don't last long. Stitch is a great character, but the problem is he doesn't speak English, and he can't. There's a limit to what he's able to do in terms of a show. However, somebody else who has a massive following is Buzz Lightyear. And yes, we have Toy Story Land over in Hollywood Studios, but we have Buzz's ride in Tomorrowland. And you could roll out Buzz and Zurg or any of the other people and do a show where they're interacting and Buzz is saving Tomorrowland or saving the world from, you know, whatever villain. And that would be really cool. I think people would really get into it, especially, again, we're talking about performers being on stage. They could even hop off that stage and be running around a little bit in the crowd. Like, there's so much you can do with that. And those characters are wildly popular. I mean, we're getting ready to get, what are we on? Toy Story 5 now, right? It's
coming up with Toy Story 5, yes.
So you even have a movie that's coming out. I mean, like, come on, guys, you got to promote the movie, right? So roll out a new show that includes these characters. So that's what I would do. I would play off Buzz. I would leave Stitch. I love Stitch, but I think it's hard to do anything with.
Yeah, Stitch is a tough nut to crack, Matt. I mean, I know you're also a Stitch fan. What do you think?
I'm struggling with this because of like the futuristic aspect.
I am too, to be honest.
I had an idea, but it doesn't fit, so I'm just going to scrap that idea.
Well, we'll share it out. What was it?
I was thinking the popularity of Descendants. And when Megan and I talked about having like cast members in a performance, I think that area lends itself like a stage show for Descendants. I feel like that would be a huge, you know, a popular thing, but it just doesn't fit the Tomorrowland feel, vibe, you know. And we kind of talk about like, you know, having stuff like scattered too much or doesn't fit in. So I kind of like the Buzz Lightyear concept, but I feel like it'd be limited. The only other thing I thought of, it's not really futuristic, but it can, and I feel like they did something with this prior, with something with the Incredibles.
They have tried to insert Incredibles in there from like time to time.
For some reason, I just don't know why the Incredibles flop. It's one of my favorite Pixar movies that was done. But
I'm with you. I think I love the Incredibles. I think part of the problem with this space is just the space. It's right out, and think about this, for 70% of the year, it's gonna be hot. You know, it's not shaded in any way, shape, or form. And so while, you know, it would be a great space for, you know, a dance party and all these other kind of things, there's no shade whatsoever. So, you know, moms and kids are just booming right on by. Why? Because they're trying to find somewhere with AC. So, you know, I like the idea of Buzz. You know, maybe you do something like a recruitment where he's trying to recruit new space rangers, things like that.
Oh, the Jedi thing.
Well, that's where I was kind of going. It's kind of a la the Jedi Training Academy. Yeah,
Oh,
a la
it's
the
dawned on me.
yeah, it's very similar. It's kind of like the old Jedi Training Academy, which, by the way, is not
Speaking of a
in.
dead space.
Speaking of a dead space in Hollywood studios, we'll get to that on another show. But same kind of concept where, and the Jedi Training Academy was wildly popular. I mean, wildly popular. So
Blows my mind that has not come back.
yeah, I'm surprised. Again, it's another effect of COVID, but it's still lingering, and I'm very surprised about it, to be honest. So I like the buzz idea, and I was kind of going in that same area. The challenge I have with it, they've got to find a way to make shade. They just have to find a way to get it shaded, and there would be a way to do it because you've got the stage section here, and then there's the control room or whatever kind of piece on the other side. So there's a way to put some sort of awning or bridge, something to at least kind of create some shade, if nothing else. You wouldn't necessarily be able to do full on air conditioning, but I'm wondering if there's a way to better enclose that space for environmental purposes, just so that it's cooler, because it's very, very hot right now, for the majority of the year. And again, if it's raining, then guess what? You've still got the same problem. You're getting soaked out there. So, and again, it's Florida. It definitely rains. So, that's a tough nut. They may be better served just tearing it down and, getting back to having some open space, maybe to do something a little bit more ground level. But if they're going to keep it, I kind of like the idea of maybe trying to do that Buzz Lightyear recruitment thing, and you have Zurg that crashes it. The green army men can come around. I mean, you can have all the Toy Story characters all you want come and do that. I mean, you could even have Stitch again kind of crash it as well, because he can live in that same style of environment, so you can do that. So moving on to our next, and we're going to talk about a couple of restaurants now. We're going to stay in Tomorrowland first, and we're going to talk about the Tomorrowland Terrace. Now, the Tomorrowland Terrace, if you're going, what is this? Well, you're not alone. That's what most people are going to say, because they have no idea where the Tomorrowland Terrace is. Matt, where is the Tomorrowland Terrace located?
Orlando, Florida.
Okay, very
Disney
good.
World.
You're okay. You're closer. Keep going.
So I'm assuming it's not quite in Tomorrowland. It's actually what? It's if you're going down Main Street and you take a right towards the hub, it's more towards facing the castle, isn't it?
Yeah. So the Tomorrowland Terrace. So if you're exactly right, if you head down Main Street all the way to the end of Main Street and you take a right beside the Plaza Restaurant, and you keep going, that is the Tomorrowland Terrace. You'll see two areas. There's two sections. You walk right through it, and there's a lower section and then an upper section. The lower section is often used for fireworks. I was about to say wishes. Don't wish wishes back. I know, you and me both, Megan. They're used for fireworks dessert parties, and that space is used a lot for that and other special events. But it's the upper side that I want to kind of talk more about, because the lower side, okay, I can see its purpose. It's used for that, and it's used fairly regularly, but that's only the lower side, because that's closest to, the little river that goes around that's around the Magic Kingdom, or almost around the Magic Kingdom, and it has good viewing of fireworks. But it's this upper area that doesn't get a lot of use, and so the first thing that we have seen this happen in a couple of different parks from time to time, especially over the summer, at Epcot most recently over in the Morocco Pavilion. Sometimes they do it in Odyssey. They'll create a pass holder area. And it's just a pass holder lounge, and it's got some water and maybe some snacks and things like that. Take that upper area, wall it off so that it's in a closed area, maybe put some windows or whatever, something like that. There's a kitchen right in that area, so you have the ability to service not only the dessert party down below, but service the pass holder area. And I would like to see that actually be a permanent pass holder area for pass holders. A pass holder lounge. It's a place for annual pass holders to go and get, again, water and snacks. You're talking about nothing super involved, but it's a place for them to go and chill out. And it's also, a place, again, this gives another perk or benefit to pass holders for being a pass holder, and something that, I think helps pass holders feel a little bit more appreciated. Matt, what do you think? I know that you're not a pass holder, but if you were, is that something you think that would be beneficial to you? And what would you use that space for?
So I like your idea, actually, but the AP concept, the pass holder concept, I just don't think Disney's going to fly with that if they can find a way to make money off of it. I think if they actually charge premium dollar, people will pay it to get, a completely different view of the fireworks show and everything like that. So I think they can actually end up making more money versus, benefiting the pass holders, which I like your idea better, but unfortunately.
Well, now remember the lower area,
money versus,
the lower area where the fireworks party would still stay, and I'm talking about the upper part, the part that's not closest. You can't see fireworks from there.
Oh,
and,
you can
turn that
top dollar. You can charge even more if you wanted to at that point. To
that's true.
View and less crowds and stuff like that. I mean, you can make it more of a VIP kind of, almost like was it California Grill? You can kind of get a.
Oh yeah, Cali Grill, of course, and that's a
right.
Premier restaurant. So
right, exactly.
All right, Megan, what do you think?
Get premier money for that spot.
Yep.
I'm going to go away from. So my question on annual pass holders would be, how many of them? Because obviously, Chuck, for annual pass holders like you who are out of state, you guys don't get down there quite as often as like Hawk does. Annual pass holders like Hawk, I feel like wouldn't maybe.
Right, and we do have to mention Hawk is taking some time off this week, so he couldn't be with us. So we look forward to having him back very, very soon. But yes.
But so the number one thing that I think Magic Kingdom misses completely is really solid dining. They've got some of the atmosphere, like the castle has the great atmosphere. Beast Castle, same deal. But the food in Magic Kingdom needs a lot of help overarching. I would love to see something, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe you do offer this just to pass holders, but I'd love to see like a test kitchen set up in that space where maybe you go in and, you're dining there and it's a prefix menu, but you get to choose, do you want Italian? Do you want, Asian? Do you want whatever? And you get rolled out a prefix menu in whatever, they're offering, and you're testing something that maybe they're trying to figure out if they're going to serve, whether it's in Magic Kingdom or one of the resorts or anything else, or just trying out new dishes, like some, again, elevated dining, because again, Magic Kingdom we think of as like the kids park. Okay, fine. But there are plenty of adult only parties and guests going to Disney. A lot of us included, we've gone without our kids. Some of us go regularly without our kids. I would love to have something that's a little bit more geared towards, it's not a bar like Beacon Barrel, but is an elevated dining experience. And I think this could be it. It's literally elevated off the ground. It's shoved away in a corner, so it's not getting in anybody's way. You're not taking up valuable real estate that could be used for, another character meal. But give me something a little bit more.
I like that idea, and it's funny because we're gonna maybe trade ideas here in a minute, because Matt has joined us. Welcome, Matt, and he says yes, they definitely need better food, especially need better table service food. They definitely need table service. Magic Kingdom is struggling with table service, and quality table service. Cinderella's Royal Table is okay. I think the Plaza is actually among one of the best that's there, but it's also kind of a very small. There's not a lot of space in the Plaza, so you could do that same kind of Plaza-like model and go up and do something very exclusive. But it's interesting you talk about that, because I wanted to also go to the other restaurant space, and we're now going across the park into Adventureland. And we're talking about El Pirata y Perico, or now Tortuga Tavern, that is still where is that? Tortuga Tavern. And so it's funny, you mentioned the Beacon Barrel. When the Beacon Barrel was first proposed, I thought, this is it. They're going to use Tortuga Tavern, and that's the space they're going to use for it. Yet, no.
I think a lot of us are scratching our heads on that one, Chuck.
Exactly. No, they carved space out of the pirate side And so Tortuga Tavern is just a seating area. So actually, Megan, this is where I was going to go with Tortuga Tavern. Is I wanted it to be in a sit down dining experience. In fact, Matt says I'd love to see them do like a 1923 from the cruise ship in MK, and I think that's an awesome idea. You can create a very exclusive, interactive experience. Take some of the pieces from. And actually, Matt, I think you've actually upped my idea already of taking some of the ideas that they have on the cruise ship, because those spaces aren't tremendous. They're restaurants, but they're not huge. And either A, you could do a test kitchen, or B, you do a true pirate themed dining experience. Beak and Barrel is a bar. Let's make sure we're clear on this. The Beak and Barrel is a bar. It is not a sit-down dining experience, but you couldn't do that. And it maybe not even be pirate-oriented. It could be more on the other side of things, more like the Port Royal, the governor's mansion, kind of thing like that. I mean, there's a number of different opportunities. The reason I like that space as opposed to the other is I think because it's bigger. I think you got just a little bit more room to play with. You're tied, if you kind of look at it on a map, you're tied right to the Golden Horseshoe kitchen. So you're kind of right behind there, and also the kitchen over for Skippers. You're sort of, it's a little bit further away. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Skippers. Yeah, Golden Horseshoe. You're tied to the kitchen for Golden Horseshoe and for, the quick service dining that's just around the corner.
The Pecos Bill, is that
Pecos Bills. All of a sudden, I just lost it. Yeah, Pecos Bills. So you've got all that dining service right there, so that can support it. But this, I think, is another place where you could have a really good, exclusive, sit-down restaurant in the Magic Kingdom. And I might even go one step further with it. And let's see here. That Matt says, by the way, if we ever get Marvel, something like the Pym Kitchen in Tomorrowland would be cool. Yeah, you could do that. Maybe instead of that could be something. Maybe it is a quick service level, because again the space is a little bit smaller. But do something like Marvel. That could be very cool. But going back to my idea, as a restaurant, make it a D23 restaurant for D23 members. We already have, Club 33, but for those who are D23 members, even if you're part of the free D23, you join D23 for free. You don't have to be a gold member or a charter member or anything like that, but make it as a way to bring D23 back into relevance in the parks and be a D23 restaurant. I thought maybe as a way to make it a little bit more exclusive. But nevertheless, though, I think the idea, though, what do you guys think, Matt, of that idea, whether it be at Tomorrowland Terrace or over at Tortuga Tavern, but bringing and not quite, I don't think it needs to be upscale to the level of like Tiffin's is over at Animal Kingdom, but a little bit more finer dining than something a little bit more than just glorified burger and fries and all that kind of thing. Something that's got a little bit to it at a sit down experiential level, almost. And this, going to add one bit more. I just got it. Think bringing in elements from the Adventurers Club into this. You're getting all of that in, because it's Adventureland, folks. And so you bring in the Adventurers Club, maybe even go whole hog, folks, and we just recall it the Adventurers Club and bring it back and put it in the parks. Boom. There you go. What do you think?
I'd be okay with that.
I was going a completely different direction.
All right. Well, what do you got, Matt? Go ahead.
So,
and that's why I love these shows. Hold on. Matt says, I'd actually like to see the empty building in Tomorrowland where Stitch used to be for it. Lots of space. Yeah, Matt, we were just talking about Stitch's Great Escape a little bit ago. So you think you make that into a restaurant. That could be done too. There is, I think, an existing kitchen in that area, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I guess it's close enough to Cosmic Rays, isn't it? It borders, backs up to Cosmic Race.
Backs up to that, yeah. I don't know if it runs into the kitchen area or not.
I don't know if it does or not, but it could be that. So, all right. So go ahead, Matt. Your idea.
So I know we don't like to have various movies and characters in different parts of the park, but hear me out. We're moving Tangled and we're bringing it over. We're bringing over the Snuggly Duckling and making it a restaurant, interactive. You can have.
I like that too.
Between you could have little meet and greets. You could have a bunch of the bandits,
You got the thugs. They'd be great at Adventureland.
I was just saying that's perfect for Adventureland. It still is.
I mean, that's so much like the fine
piratey,
dining
troubley,
aspect of it, but you still kind of have that. I don't know. It brings Adventureland, maybe not pirates theme, but it's still, to me, Tangled. Rapunzel doesn't get the credits due. I know it's got the bathrooms and this and that.
Get her out of the bathroom.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
just rethink that completely, and then I think bringing that aspect over would be a huge. You can make a dining experience, almost. What am I thinking of? Whispering Canyon kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, you talk about wild. That could be totally wild. Now think about. Yep. Again, getting back to experiential dining, I love Matt's idea too. All right, Disney, just listen to us and just make it happen. Mm-hmm. You have the different characters, the different thugs. Hey, here's back to a test kitchen back in the circus area. Megan was talking about that a little bit earlier as well. Something like Goofy's Kitchen under the Big Top or something, and that's another area that we can talk about here in a minute. But I do love that idea. That is really kind of cool, and I could see that really gaining. Okay, so here's what that kind of reminds me of. It's almost like a Tangled version of Yeehaw Bob.
Yes.
Because if you've never seen Yeehaw Bob over at the River Roost, over at Port Orleans Riverside, you are missing out. Yeehaw Bob is absolutely wild and off the hook. I mean, he is crazy, nuts, funny, and wild, and it's unreal.
Some of the best stuff at Disney. It really is.
But you take that idea and now theme it into Tangled, where they can think about almost like making up songs and everything like that. I mean, it could be absolutely hilarious and a really, really good experience. And again, it's not a huge space, but it not only does it not need to be, I don't think it will work if it is a big space, because it's something that needs to be intimate. That it's you and 40 or 50 people in the restaurant at most, or something like that. And
the Snuggly Duckling.
It's a Snuggly Duckling. But it's not. But this is also not snug like Oga's, where you're on top of each other, and I get worried. Or Beacon Barrel, where you're assigned seats and all that. I think that it needs to be a sit-downy style. You probably need to create it in such a way that it will lend itself to a show. Again, you've got the River Roost right there as an example. So, those are some awesome ideas as well. A couple of other small places to talk about here in the Magic Kingdom. And actually, we're staying in Adventureland. These are some open spaces. The Agrabah Bazaar has been closed for quite a while, and these are retail spaces. You really don't have a huge area to do anything to the level of dining or whatever like that. But I do think that these spaces could be used a little bit better. And I go back to the first thing I thought about was, okay, so you have got the meet and greet for Aladdin and Jasmine. They're very close to closer to the attraction, to the magic carpets. I'm wondering if it's worth using some of that existing space over to the right side of that meet and greet and adding meet and greets. That's another thing that is very popular over in the kids want to go to. Megan, you know this. I mean, kids, they're looking for characters. They want to see characters, so bring them characters. Anything that's related to, even loosely related to Adventureland, and frankly, this is where I think a Tangled meet and greet could come up.
I was going to say Flynn Rider. People ask about meeting Flynn Rider all the time. Yeah, well,
There you go.
He's the writer.
So I was thinking that idea for that little, because again, they're not huge, but they're big enough that you could create a meet and greet style space. And so, again, I'm with you. I think while I like the idea of the tower, and that's kind of cool. Honoring Tangle with just a bathroom, it's a better movie than that. So it needs to be. I think that space needs to be brought into, and I think Tangled fits in Adventureland just fine. You are still dealing with nefarious individuals and things like that. Think about a Maximus meet and greet. If we can do Toothless over in, if we can do Toothless over at Epic Universe, what about a Maximus, an interactive or audio animatronic Maximus meet and greet?
I would not have waited an hour for Toothless. I love Toothless, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't waiting an hour for him. I waited an hour for Maximus.
I think it could be hilarious. Especially if you can find a way to get the facial construction and everything like that. It would be unreal. So what do you guys think? What would you use some of that space for?
So I like this space because, like you said, it's not a very big space, and it's not hidden away, but there's a lot going on in Adventureland, right? Like it's just a very busy place in the park.
And it's tight.
It is. It's tight. And so I think this is a good place for whether it's an AP lounge or some sort of, kind of just some sort of a resting kind of spot, because you don't need a full kitchen. You don't need a whole bunch of space. It's not going to get overcrowded with people, but it's kind of a good place to offer people and say, hey, we can give you this space to relax. I like the meet and greet idea. Some of the stuff we've hit on a few things that are cast member heavy, and so they haven't come back. Reopening would require at least one cast member to be in there all the time. So something like a lounge or something that doesn't require a lot of heavy lift by cast members and staffing is great.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
I was actually thinking if it's where I'm thinking, I we're going back to like maybe a possible like cast member, getting them more involved. Maybe you could kind of do the marketplace scene from Aladdin and kind of have like a small, like, little 5-10 minute like little show or something like that. Like you already have a marketplace setting, so you could utilize that some way, and then you can do like a meet and greet afterwards. I know it's usually just Aladdin.
Yeah, but that also does allow. It's interesting because we talk about and we have lamented over in Hollywood Studios the loss of the Streetmosphere characters, and all that live performance and bringing that live entertainment. So doing an Aladdin, or skit.
You could even swap out and do like a Flynn Rider, and then some days you got Aladdin, kind of like the theater, the little Palace Theater thing that's back in Disneyland, where they do two different shows.
Right.
You could do the same thing in Adventureland. You've got Aladdin in the morning and Flynn Rider in the afternoon, or whatever that's like.
And to be honest, this is also another place where we have that little stage over across from Pirates that sometimes you see, Jack Sparrow do. But to be honest, this is another place that you could have Jack Sparrow interacting and going around. Again, this is all an area where you can have live entertainment and live characters interacting throughout this whole area. So, what do you guys think? In the chat, let us know what you think. There were a couple other places that we did just want to mention. The last one was out actually front of the Magic Kingdom, over on, if you're facing the Magic Kingdom, it is over on the left side. There used to be a newsstand there that is closed, and it's just not there anymore. There's just, that space isn't being used much anymore for pretty much anything. So, is there an idea of something that could be used there as some sort of space for, something or other? You've got guest relations already and all that. So, is there something to be used for that area?
So this is very low effort. I don't know. Low effort's the right phrase.
Low hanging fruit. Easy to do.
Low hanging fruit. Yes. both at Disneyland and at Epcot back at the International Gateway. They will do character meet and greets right before you go in and out of the gates. This could be one of them, classic characters. I mean, one of the first times I went to Disneyland, I met Minnie and Pluto because I was getting ready to leave for the day and they were out hanging by the turnstiles and took pictures. Daisy, my kids got to meet Daisy in her classic outfit because that's the other thing that we're missing, right, with these character meet greets, especially when it comes to the classic characters, finding them in their normal outfits and not dressed up for one occasion or one atmosphere or the other, which I think is a frustration for a lot of people, especially those who this is their one chance to meet Mickey Mouse, to meet those classic characters. They want to see the classic look, and Disney doesn't offer. It's hard to find. You got to really know where to go and when to get those. Right inside the gates there is kind of a good spot to have that. Not at the beginning of the day when the crowds are crazy, not at the end of the night, but in the middle of the day as people are just coming and going, you got to pop up Minnie or pop up Daisy and Donald are there. Just something kind of easy like that. You got to have the cast members anyway for those characters. So why not throw them out there?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. And that way, again, it allows you to start to experience the magic, and you're right there in the parks. Epcot does that a lot, where you've turned into the turnstiles, and boom, you already are seeing characters going on. Matt, what do you think? What ideas would you have?
I kind of drawn a blank on this one, so I'm just going to follow up Megan. I really like that idea of having some of the classic characters out there, and especially maybe around lunchtime, or when some people tend to go back to the resorts and stuff like that, or you've got people that park hopping and kind of coming in. They've done whatever park in the morning, they're coming in the afternoon and get that opportunity. So I like that idea.
Absolutely. So, and again, we just tonight talked about the unused spaces in the Magic Kingdom. There's still plenty more to talk about because, frankly, we've got issues like this in every one of the parks. So this is something that we will revisit in a future episode of MouseKast. But remember that we do this live every Tuesday night, coming up at 8:30 on our Facebook channel and also on our YouTube channel. And coming up next week, it is the second Tuesday of the night. You know what that means? It's open mic night, where you get to determine what we talk about. So we encourage you to join us for MouseKast every Tuesday night, right here on YouTube, right here on Facebook. Share out the fact that you have been watching MouseKast and enjoying the conversation. I want to say a huge thank you to Matt and Megan who joined us tonight. Also, thanks to Danny and Matt from the chat, who also were with us tonight. This is MouseKast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to MouseKast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show, and joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time.